Red Cedar River comes from its headwaters, which is on Cedar Lake, which is in northern Livingston County, and it runs westward toward East Lansing. It comes through Okemos, East Lansing, Williamston.
The Red Cedar runs into Lake Michigan. It heads well east of Williamston and flows generally westward and a little bit north, emptying into the Grand River, which is a part of the whole Grand River system, which goes on and drains into Lake Michigan at Grand Haven.
On the banks of the Red Cedar, there's a school that's known to all. Its specialty is winning, and those Spartans play good ball. Spartan teams, they're never beaten. All through the game they fight for the only colors, green and white. Go right through for MSU, watch the points keep rolling. Spartan teams, they're bound to win. They're fighting with a vim. They see their team is weakening. They're gonna win this game. Fight, fight, rock team fight, victory for MSU. All right. Go right through.
Going with a young lady by the name of Helen, and 2 or 3 times we canoed with numerous other people on the Red Cedar. And there was a canoe livery as a part of Michigan State University.
What I really love about the Red Cedar River is it has a very good calming effect. I usually take my hammock and kind of bring it over there and get it in between 2 trees and sit there and do homework. I also like to bring my girlfriend out and we feed the ducks and, you know, kind of just relax and, you know, kind of stick my hand in the water and feel the cool sensation and feed the ducks and, you know, have a good time.
And I came back to Michigan State in 1946 and was there and as a student and graduate student until 1952. And my major professor, Dr. Ball, and I would fish the Red Cedar, starting usually up around Okemos Road and fishing down probably to Farm Lane or someplace like that.
I don't know, I like to watch the ducks, I guess. That's about all there is.
In different sections of the Red Cedar River, you'll see things like caddis flies and mayflies, things that are on the high level of, they call it taxa, a group 1 or 2 or 3 taxa. And the group 1 taxa is basically they're very pollution sensitive. So if there's any type of pollution at all, then you won't find those species there.
With regards to wildlife, I mean, the best case scenario is to keep wildlife wild, and you know, feeding wildlife can get them attached to a certain area. It may prevent them from doing what they are naturally used to doing and migrating. So we provide a constant food source. They're less likely to do that, and who knows what we may be altering genetically with a wild population if we kind of breed that out of that instinct to migrate, and we breed that out of them. Another thing with feeding the ducks and keeping them concentrated in one area is the unwanted nutrients that they add. Nutrients are good for a system, but when you have more nutrients than what that system is used to or can handle, then you can have a nutrient overload, which can kind of have a spiraling negative effect on the ecosystem.
That there was something like 37 different species of fish in the Red Cedar River, and in those, a number of different minnow species, from darters to game species like northern pike and trout. There are actually trout in the river. There are salmon in the river that come up and spawn. There's a number of different panfish like your bluegills, bass, things like that. It's a great smallmouth fishery, smallmouth bass fishery, where you can catch a number of different fish. And back in the 60s, the river was horrible. It was horribly contaminated, green with algae, lots of chemicals, no creatures. And then in 1972, the Clean Water Act kind of changed those practices of dumping things directly into the river.
If you have had, pet feces, goose feces, anything that is on the land in those areas, water comes out, it can enter back into the stream. Some of the larger, like E. coli contaminations, do occur around farms, and where you've got maybe manure that's piled up during the winter, or feces that is spread on a farm field, and then you do have that spring rain, that spring thaw, the spring flooding. A lot of that material gets washed back into our waterways. So that generally, when you hear a lot of E. coli contamination in a river, that's generally the case.
I was appointed Director of Natural Resources for Michigan State University, and the river had become quite polluted. There was the old sewage treatment plant was totally inadequate. It was right on Kalamazoo Street. And Red Cedar was smelly or anaerobic down below that point. And we had a very active student club, a Fisheries and Wildlife Club. And they were concerned about the quality of the water in the river. And I remember distinctly the problem that they gave me. They came into my office, or the representatives of the club came into my office, and they said, "We have surveyed the Red Cedar River, and we have found 42 illegal discharge pipes below the surface."
So there's a series of this pipings that come into the river all the way along the Red Cedar, and so those have been closed off, or they've been separated, the harmful chemicals are not able to be put into the river the way they used to be. There's a Red Cedar cleanup that happens every year. There's some recognition around the Red Cedar.
In my SP class last year, we essentially went out and took samples of the water every week, and we kind of tested for the pH levels, iron levels, and all that good stuff. And essentially what we found out was that the Red Cedar River is actually very clean, despite the fact that others think that it's a really dirty river, with the bikes and all the college things that people throw in there. In fact, that it actually really is a really clean river.